Hey, welcome to Speedgaming. Tonight we're doing a Metroid Dread 80% glitchless race between two very well-known members of the community. We've got on the left, we've got Root. On the right, we've got satorha, or Sat for short. This is part of the upper bracket round 2. So these two runners have both proved themselves in a previous race that they are fit to continue in the upper bracket. So I think we've got a pretty good race this evening. So right in the beginning, we're going to be heading on over to the first Emmy in the game. Glitchless really do be one of the only categories on top of like all bosses that does this. Let me switch here. There we go. Okay. So yeah, this is really just, your introduction to Emmys. This guy's gonna come up right here, prompt another parry tutorial, and you go right into this computer room to pick up the Omega Cannon, the only weapon capable of defeating the Emmys. So pretty easy boss. The Emmys, continuing throughout this run, are not going to be this much of a pushover, even for even for our runners here. So both runners are here going to be encountering the first Emmy. This is the Spider Magnet Emmy. The one thing this Emmy can't do that all the other ones can is crawl through tunnels, because this faceplate is a little too big. So Emmy's going to get stuck against the Morph Ball tunnel here and allow Sat to leave and Root shortly after. Basically, our runners are going to be picking up 3 power-ups in the first level here, Artaria, before moving on. So first up on our large checklist of Metroid power-ups is the Charge Beam, a Metroid staple, a Metroid classic. Basically, you get to hold down the button, whatever button you use to use your beam, and you get to charge your shot. You get to shoot dark orange doors, all that. I'm kind of spoiling what Charge Beam does. Maybe I should wait a little bit. So we got this water section here. The optimal movement through water until you get Gravity Suit, will be to just repeatedly jump over and over again. Sat is doing the slope skip that some of us call toilet skip, basically to avoid getting flushed into this water section here. Saves, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 20 seconds. That's going to only heighten his lead here. Root taking the scenic route through the water to blow up the blob, drain the water here. I think both our runners seem to have gotten questionable RNG on the Emmy. I didn't see what was going on the right. But we're going to do water platform skip here. Both runners doing that basically lets you avoid draining, or in this case, I guess, flooding the little pool of water that lets you normally slide through a little Morph Ball tunnel. But yeah, now that we've got Charge Beam here, like I mentioned earlier, get to charge your shot, lets you open new doors, lets you do more damage to enemies. Pretty useful. There's also some really neat little optimizations you can do here with charging your shot faster. You can use several animations like spinning while you jump, or just turning around back and forth, and you can charge your shot slightly faster. So if you're not holding charge, you need to immediately, or you need to, some bosses may require you to like rapidly fire charge shots to optimize your damage. So you might opt to do that too. So the next destination from Charge Beam is, there is a thermal switch all the way over on the other side of the map that we need to go get. This thermal switch is going to open the door to the White Emmy's computer room, which will let us pick up the Omega Cannon, which, as I mentioned earlier, is the only weapon capable of defeating the Emmys. So there's the thermal switch you can see on the right. Gonna be seeing more of those, but with a little twist that I'll elaborate on when we get there. The glitchless routing through Artaria is very different compared to the other two any percent categories. Mostly in the sense that the other two categories allow the use of glitches, including clipping your arm cannon through the wall and blowing up blobs when you normally shouldn't be able to. That basically makes the routing through Artaria a lot longer and a lot different in terms of like the order in which you're picking up these items, the routing that you need to take to, very roundabout routing to the thermal switches and such. So up here we've got our first real central unit fight. No two central unit fights are going to be the same, either in terms of actually defeating the brain thing or the method by which you're going to leave the room. So typical cycle of Emmy combat here. We're going to take out the central unit, take off the faceplate using the Omega Cannon, and then fire a charge shot to take it out for good. So we're going to see how Root does this. Going to be shooting at the faceplate, hopefully taking it out before the Emmy can reach her, and then sliding right underneath. Very nice. But yeah, one really cool thing I think with this game is, despite the routes pretty much being the same, there are really small things that some runners may opt to do differently compared to others. Like you saw there, like I think Sat charged up the final Omega Cannon shot on the same side rather than sliding under the Emmy. That's a very risky move, but if you get comfortable with doing it, saves you a pretty good amount of time. Here we've got Corpius. Not going to be able to say a lot about Corpius, probably. There we go. So Corpius, the invisible guy, the goal here is to get 26 missile shots onto his face during this invisible phase here, and it lets you skip phase 3. Here we go. Root taking an attempt at hopefully skipping the cycle too. We'll see. Nice. Both our runners are able to skip the third phase, if you will, of Corpius, where you have to do a little melee counter, skip another cutscene. Good damage boost out of Artaria from Sat. Hitting the charge door for fun, I guess. I don't think we're going in that room today, but who knows? All right, so with Artaria pretty much cleaned up out of the way, next level coming up is Catarus, the fire level. Gonna be doing a somewhat lengthy trip through this area without picking up any power-ups. The next stop on our power-up list is Wide Beam, which is all the way in another level. So really just going to be kind of... Catarus also has a lot of interesting tricks, both of varying scales, I guess. You know, you got really big tricks, really small optimizations. All really, a lot of stuff can be shown off in this level. I think Staff is syncing up the timers a little bit, so give him just a little bit. There we go. Thanks, Staff. All right, Sat doing a little damage boost here. You let the little flying guy knock you onto the magnet before it has to go all the way down. Saves you a little bit of time. Handful of different ways that you can actually set up that damage boost. Also going for a little sprint through the fire area there. We call it a hell run. Both our runners have opted to pick up an extra energy tank, presumably for that. But also, just in general, late game bosses tend to hit pretty hard. So the more E-tanks you have, the safer you'll tend to be. Root's going for the hell run too. Nice. Going to be checking in on where the Emmys end up spawning for both of these runners. Green Emmy in particular can pick some really inconvenient places to show up, and we'll be passing through the Emmy zone a handful of times. So you saw there, I think Root, and both Sat and Root got good Emmy spawn for the first one. I didn't really quite catch where the Emmy ended up on Sat's second pass through the Emmy zone. Going to be panning the camera up during that during this thermal switch activation to open the door. Small note there. Root did get bad RNG on the Emmy, but was fast enough to make it to the door without getting noticed. We've got a big skip coming up for Sat. Blink and you'll miss it. Oh. There we go. Second try Atom skip. Very nicely done. Atom skip is a very huge skip in this game. Very, very important that pretty much I think all runners in the tournament go for it. Essentially, all of the Atom conversations are sort of, the game assumes that you're going to visit the Atom rooms in a particular order. And so this skip not only cuts out some extra routing through Catarus that isn't really necessary, but it also skips one of these Atom conversations in the sort of pre-planned list of audio tracks that the game has. So for the remainder of the run, essentially, both of our runners are going to be... the game's going to be waiting on our runners to be going to that second, or I guess third Atom conversation. and they're never going to do it, which means that every other Atom Room that they walk through is they can just pass through, without any extra talking. No extra dialogue. But yeah, it seems like both of our runners have survived. Plenty of game changers left throughout the whole run between bosses and extremely precise platforming, which we'll get there when we get there. So let's see. We've got Root has just drained the spicy sauce, the tomato soup, out of Cataris. So this will allow her to drop a platform that's attached to a spider magnet, and that's the ticket out of this level for now. Meanwhile, Sat's going to take the train over to Dyron, the 3rd level, off to pick up Wide Beam and run into another Emmy. There are a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I believe, if haven't watched the lore conversation in a while, and sometimes you just forget about the first one because the glitch categories like to skip them. So try to make sure to properly introduce every Emmy, its unique move set, unique power up, if you will. Missed a coyote jump from the looks of it. You can slide off the ledge going into that room. And coyote jumps are going to come up again a couple times. So essentially, you have a couple of frames after sliding off of a ledge where... I don't know about frames. Did I say frames? My bad. I don't want to say it's like that narrow of a window, but you have a pretty precise window of time where you can jump for a little bit after sliding off a ledge. And this allows for a couple of skips that are actually intended by the that we like to say are intended by the developers. One of which we will be doing in this race today. So Sat has just got Wide Beam. Root is like 2 rooms away from picking it up. So Wide Beam, pretty aptly named power up. It makes your beam wide. You can shoot 3 beams at once, sort of run parallel to each other. Increases your damage output, very important, and also lets you open some doors that you originally would not be able to. So there are a couple of wide beam doors, like this one underneath the Chozo statue. I can probably count the number of wide beam doors in this game on one hand, not gonna lie. The big one is the wide beam blocks, which are these big rectangular boxes that require the wide beam to be pushed aside. Root's getting a run through with the yellow Emmy. This is the speed booster Emmy. It's pretty fast. It could even outrun our runners here if they're not careful. But don't you worry, we'll have a couple of chance encounters with the yellow Emmy in a little bit. So Root making it out of Darren, coming back to Catarus to take on the green Emmy once and for all. Sat currently working on the central unit here. So, like I mentioned, no two central unit encounters are the same. Because you have the wide beam, it is faster to just spam wide beam shots after you break the shielded plating thing off the brain. We got a really interesting setup for the green Emmy here. Very, very risky. Sat's kind of showing off a little bit. Very nicely done. Excellent show for the folks at home. But yeah, so both our runners opting to do this sort of combination of charging their shot and then immediately releasing a missile afterward. I mentioned earlier that you can speed up you can speed up the how long it takes you to release a charge shot, and so that's the most optimal way of dealing damage to most bosses once you have more powerful beam weapons. So both our runners have successfully defeated the green Emmy and acquired the morph ball. Pretty straightforward. Lets you roll through these tunnels. Will be used later on for some interesting platforming. So next stop is Artaria again. We're going back to Artaria with some brand new tools. Lets our runners access some new parts of the level. So on our way to pick up Varia Suit, like I mentioned, Catarus is the fire level, and as per most Metroid games, excluding like Prime 2, we need the Varia Suit to be able to go through the spicy areas of the map. Interesting. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so a lot of these morph tunnels, our runners are going to be attempting to morph before entering the tunnel and kind of hoping the collision lets them kind of go right in there without doing the climbing animation. Just really small optimizations, but considering the number of morph ball tunnels we end up entering throughout the run, saves a pretty decent amount of time. Sat's about to do the Varia climb here. Oh. Oh no. We're running into some technical difficulties. So everything is on fire, as you can see from this still image here. At least that's the case on my end. Oh, and there we go. It's okay. Guess we'll have to see what the Varia climb looks like on the left, at least for me. Blink and you'll miss it, I guess. All right. So, right, Varia climb. Just a really high intensity platforming section. Everything is catching on fire. Absolute nightmare to probably attempt to do this section in Dread mode, where I think everything one-shots you. But yeah, very nice Varia climb. And both our runners now have the Varia suit. So Sat and Root are both going to be making their way over to Kraid and Diffusion Beam. Kraid is pretty nice guy, unless you're running the game, in which case Kraid can ruin your day. Basically, the first phase of this fight, we're gonna be looking for the claws attack, where he just kind of throws his claws at you. Worst case, we're going to get a vomit attack on phase 1. And Kraid can pick from these 2 attacks during phase 1 at random. So let's see what happens. Again, doing that combination of charge shots and a missile. Sat's getting claws, very nice, very fast phase 1. Going into single wall jumps to grab the spider magnet early. Prompting the second phase with a counter immediately. We don't want counters for most of these boss fights. So basically, whenever you have a prompt from a boss to parry an attack, it'll enter this sort of cinematic cutscene where you wail on the boss with a bunch of shots, like missiles and beams and all that. But unfortunately, your damage is reduced by, I believe, a factor of 2 during that cutscene. So you would rather just opt to not do the cutscene at all for most boss fights. With, I think, one exception off the top of my head. But yeah. So let's see. What do we got? Root, unfortunately, getting the vomit attack from Kraid. A little bit trickier to navigate around all these projectiles coming out of his mouth. But pretty good phase 1 altogether. It looks like she's also going for single wall jumps. Very nicely done. Single wall jumps require some very precise inputs to morph and then respin into the same wall that you were wall jumping off of. Alrighty. So right behind Kraid here is the diffusion beam. The, I guess, distant cousin of the diffusion missile from Fusion. Basically, your beam can now enter walls, kinda. If you release a charge shot, part of it will kind of go into the wall, hit a few blobs, hit a few enemies. So with diffusion beam in hand, Sat just finished early grapple. So if you were looking on the right, well, you'll also see on the left in a little bit. Big use of coyote jumps to clear some really tricky gaps in the floor. Lets you access this backdoor elevator into Artaria a little earlier than the sort of normal, quote-unquote, playthrough. Early grapple beam is sort of, I guess, implied to be developer intended, if we don't know for certain. In the sense that having grapple beam at this point in the run is going to let both of our runners access some really pretty nice shortcuts on the way to the next couple of power-ups. So both of our runners are going to be doing a little bit of a high five here. So Sat is taking the elevator back up to Dyron, and Root is taking the elevator down. So next stop after Grapple Beam is going to be Morph Ball Bombs. Pretty straightforward, pretty well-known Metroid power-up. Lets you drop bombs in Morph Ball mode. And what else is there to say? Really nice coyote jump out of the morph tunnel here. Gonna take a quick dip into the spicy sauce there to open the door through the tunnel. As we mentioned earlier, thanks to Adam Skip, we will no longer have any conversations with the big man himself anytime our runners pass through an Adam room here. think, did Sad attempt to grab the magnet on the other side of the wall with that with that grapple shot? Perhaps. All right. Yeah, I never really thought about, the small optimization of like pulling yourself laterally towards spider magnets with grapple here. Root, unfortunately, getting caught with a bad yellow Emmy spawn. Good usage of the Phantom Cloak to hide from it. Didn't seem to run into too much trouble. Alrighty, so Root currently on her way to pick up the bombs after turning the power back on. Sat is making it to the water level of Metroid Dread, Berenia. Gonna be a lot of that movement optimization that I mentioned earlier with repeatedly jumping in water rather than walking along the floor. One other thing you're going to want to look out for is rather than slowly climbing up ledges, both of our runners here are going to be attempting to jump off of ledges in the opposite direction and letting that height propel them sort of up onto the ledge. A lot of animations, like walking, are slower underwater, and that also includes ledge grabs. So again, gonna be a while before our runners get gravity suit and can move through water unhindered. So nice coyote jump. Both our runners, with Grapple Beam early, you can also kind of grab that ceiling. If you can't make the coyote jump, pull yourself up out of the water. Sat's going to be attempting backdoor flash here, basically with a bunch of infinite bomb jumps along the wall. You can hold yourself above the above the switch long enough for the door to open, allowing you to skip a little bit of extra underwater swimming. So flash shift is the dash attack, or not attack, excuse me. It's just a dash. I don't think it does damage. But yeah, lets you traverse the level a little bit faster in the lateral direction. Our runners gonna be trying to do flash shift as much as possible, wherever possible. Looks like we're gonna do a damage boost off the fish to get onto that platform. Very, very slick. Yeah, so for those of you that are familiar with the more commonly known any percent, 100% no major glitches, you'll see some runners attempt to do bomb jumps while underwater. You shouldn't be seeing any of that here. Bomb jumping underwater is banned and glitchless. It's a glitch. The devs didn't want you to do it. And so that damage boost off the fish is a really interesting alternative to doing that water bomb jump. We've got another trick coming up You'll want to stay tuned for that. That lets you work around another banned water bomb jump later on. I'll be vague about it on purpose. We get there when we get there, right? So Root going to be draining the water to get out of Berenia. Sat taking on the Yellow Emmy's central unit. So, what happened in between the last two central units? We got Flash Shift. So rather than melee towards the door before taking off the armored plating on it, our runners are now going to be flash shifting out of the door. That is faster. All right. So, Yellow Emmy, I think I mentioned earlier, has the speed booster. Pretty well known power up in the series. A lot of really cool things you can do with speed booster in this game. So again, lets you go fast. It's in the name, right? So by clicking the analog stick in and running forward like this, you get to charge up a speed booster. You can also store your speed boost and redirect that momentum in another direction, or hold on to it in what's called a shine spark, just like this. There's a lot of really technical things, I guess, in the speedrun when it comes to holding onto your speed boost through several rooms and morph ball tunnels, which we'll see a lot of in any percent glitchless, as well as just kind of, you can figuring out where to best put in a speed boost. A little more to it than one might think, because anytime you shine spark into a wall or a ceiling or a floor, you'll end up bonking into that collision, and that takes a couple seconds to get out of that animation. So it's there are a couple segments where you'd be like, well, wouldn't it be faster to speed boost through there? Or speaking of which, so Sat's going to store a speed boost here and redirect the momentum up and to the left to get out of that room. So this is the first of many robot Chozos in the run. Very, very light work of that guy. Just 2 speed boosters. The room is long enough that you can charge one. So you might have seen on the left, Root used the morph ball to shine spark up that column. If you don't morph before you shine spark up that column, you'll enter a funny little cinematic that loses time. Alrighty, so let's see. Gonna be a while before picking up another power up, really. So up next is super missiles. It's a little ways away. Got to pass through, revisit a couple levels. So here we go. Sat doing a really clever speed keep through that area there. Very tricky to hold on to the speed booster through using jumps and morphs and wall jumps without losing your speed. Requires some very good knowledge with the game. I have been keeping track of golfing. Is anybody at home keeping track of any Dread runners watching keeping track of our runners' golf scores today? I was so caught up talking about other things that I just forgot to Forgot to keep track. So both of our runners have basically taken this little small pit stop over to Ferenia in order to drain the water in a particular location in Berenia. Basically opens the upper path to Berenia over to Gavran, the next level. Really nice speed keep into the long boy morph tunnel there. So again, glitchless, one of like 2 categories that really does this encounter here. We're going to be going up against Drog, the octopus monster. Really good. Oh, that almost slid off the slope there. Gonna briefly. Well, we want to watch Drog, right? But I am kind of keeping my eye on the left side of the screen for golfing. Ah, so close. All right, so Sat's going to attempt to one-round Drog here by repeatedly meleeing into the tentacle there, which basically delays the counter animation. Very, very well done. Gonna pass through this area without the cloak. It's a bit of a risky move. Steve has locked on to Sat here. There we go. Managed to get out of there. Just barely. Root making her way over to Drog. Gonna be taking some slightly different routing through this room here. Just, really small differences. It's really cool to see how different runners approach some rooms. Very nice speed keep through the tunnel as well. So one big thing I think, at least me personally, with any percent glitchless, is you have to take on the gold robot Chozo coming up in Gavran after already either losing health to damage boost or dumping a lot of missiles into taking out a boss not too long before, which can make this boss fight a little tricky. Very good gold robot Chozo. Root is gonna repeatedly melee into the boss here. Gonna get a little refill from this counter here. Very well done. Sat off to pick up super missiles. Root also making it through the Steve Tower, Berenia Tower, I think. What do they call it? Without Phantom Cloak. Pretty good. Very well done. So, super missiles. So, unlike a handful of Metroid entries, your super missiles are basically a direct upgrade to your missiles. They function exactly the same, except they do a little more damage and they fire a little bit slower. So they also let you open green missile covers, I guess. There's like 5 green missile covers in the whole game. I don't know. But yeah, so super missiles, pretty big upgrade. Won't be having super missiles for long. Going to be getting another missile upgrade very soon. Root is meleeing into the gold, sliding into the gold robot Chozo to get iframes. Very, very interesting technique. Going to be platforming through the blue Emmy room. The blue Emmy, if you pay really close attention, you might be able to see it. Oh, nah, the camera wasn't in a great place. You can see the blue Emmy lurking in the background a little bit there. So we got a Chozo friend over in Ferenia. Turned off the Emmys, the other two Emmys for us. Surely shouldn't be a problem going forward. Alrighty, so both our runners picking up a power-up at the same time, albeit two different power-ups. Root's just got the super missiles. Sat has the plasma beam. So plasma beam lets you open green plasma covers, not to be confused with green missile covers. Basically, lets you open a couple extra doors, lets you do more damage to enemies, and lets you damage some enemies with beam that were previously invulnerable to beam weapons. So a lot of the metal robot enemies that aren't Emmys, normally you could not damage them with your beam weapon, but now you can with the power of plasma beam. Gonna be freeze framing here a little bit on this Chozo warrior here, as Root makes it over to the plasma beam. So Elun is a pretty lore heavy part of the game. So essentially, they brought back the X parasites from Fusion, been stashing them away in this little area here. Once you leave Elun, both of our runners here have released the X parasites, essentially. And basically, nearly every enemy they run into from here on out is actually an X parasite in disguise. And so the gameplay is going to play out a lot like Fusion, where enemies are going to turn into a little X that you have to absorb for health and ammo. A lot of speed keeps post plasma beam here. So Sat's going to be attempting this speed keep through Gavrin here. Root is going to be doing a speed keep to make it to the Chozo warrior. Both very well done. Alrighty. So on the right, you're going to be seeing glitchless early ice. This is how our runners are going to attempt to grab ice missiles without doing a water bomb jump, which, remember, is banned. So using some really precise speed booster knowledge, you can store a Shine Spark partway into the Emmy room and use that to launch your way across that gap that the game normally wants you to use Spin Boost to get across. So this skips a couple minutes, I think, of normal gameplay. Pretty big skip. I think everybody in the tournament has gone for it. Didn't really get to take a good look at the blue Emmy. Kind of zoomed right through the Emmy zone and didn't really see what it was capable of. Blue Emmy, in my opinion, kind of scary. So the blue Emmy can't see you, but it can hear you, and it can freeze you with its cone thing. Pretty scary to contend with in casual gameplay, I'd say, at the very least, and even in runs can be a little annoying to deal with. So ice missiles. On top of doing like a really small increase to damage, ice missiles will also let you freeze enemies, freeze Enkies, which are like the little weird orange pillar enemies that you might have seen. Alrighty, so Root about to do glitchless early ice. Here we go. Holding on to that speed boost. Dropped it, unfortunately. It's very easy to lose speed. You have to be really careful about when you choose to morph, when you choose to unmorph. the direction you're holding on the analog stick while you're in speed booster mode. One wrong move and you're going to be starting over again. I think it's the jump across the gap. That you have to be kind of precise about that. So up next is Gravity Suit. Going to be taking a little bit of a backdoor route in here. Really good Glitchless Early Ice. Neither of our runners opting to go for the super variant of Glitchless Early Ice. Guess that kind of evens the playing field a little bit. Very well done, though. Glitchless Early Ice is very daunting, and just being able to get it, I think, is very, very impressive in and of itself. Very, very well done. So yeah, like I said, no two central unit encounters are the same. Now that our runners have Speed Booster, the fastest way to do things is to charge a Shine Spark going into the central unit room and then releasing that Shine Spark up and into the brain to knock off its armored plating. Alrighty. So Root's going to be making our way over to the backdoor gravity suit puzzle. Basically, another test of your one's speed booster prowess. But by doing glitchless early ice, I'm sure any speed booster puzzle after that should be no problem at all. Meanwhile, we've got Sat here in the frozen Artaria section. Gonna be doing some clever speed keeps here. We've got the red Chozo Warrior. Gonna be charging a speed boost going in to break off its shield immediately. I did just notice that Sat has 2 E-Tanks as opposed to 3, which is going to make combat against bosses a little more demanding in terms of not taking damage. I don't know how much damage off the top of my head Gold Chozo Elite does, but one of the late game bosses I'm pretty sure can take out, could possibly one-shot you with an E-Tank or 2 under your belt. Really nice Shine Spark here. Gonna be spamming Plasma Beam on that purple Steve there. So very, very good speed booster puzzle from Root. Taking a quick look at missile counts, I just saw there's the 10+ missile pack. Missile routing can vary from person to person depending on your approach with this game. Whether you're comfortable with landing all your shots on bosses, and your approach to combat in general. If you're running turbo, you're likely in the late game going to be mostly spamming your beam by holding down the turbo button that you've mapped to shooting your beam. If you are not using turbo, or you're just really good at mashing, you'll opt to often do missile weaving, which I'll try to touch upon, I guess, when we get there. There's probably been some weaving on a couple of boss fights like the Chozo Warriors, but I haven't really found a good time to highlight it, I guess. But yeah, there are a couple 10 missile packs that some runners may opt to get some over others, or not at all. I think with what looks like 36 missiles means that Sat has really only been picking up a couple of 2 missile packs, either on purpose or on accident. So we've got Experiment, another big RNG boss. A bit of contrast to Kraid. For Experiment, you actually want the vomit attack. You don't want the claws attack. Kind of bit of a twist, if you will. So one really cool thing you can do with Experiment here, gonna be running against this stream of wind here, gonna charge up a speed boost, and gonna use that Shine Spark to run right into Experiment's face. Doing another speed keep up this room. Root has just finished one of 2 red Chozo warriors that we're going to encounter in this run. Interesting, taking a little bit slightly different routing here, up this room. Still very well done. Don't have to worry about hypothermia in this category. There's a sort of a funny category extension among the community called hypothermia, where if you do a glitch to get through that room without draining the water at the beginning, when you come back here in Frozen Artaria, the water isn't there. It's not frozen over, but the collision is there as if it was. And so if you step into that sort of area there, the game thinks you're out of bounds and kills you. So Root's on our way over to Z57. Sat has just picked up Screw Attack, a Metroid staple. Basically turns Samus into a big ball of death anytime she spin jumps. Handy for breaking a couple of Screw Attack blocks. Does a lot of damage to enemies, including we're gonna see some Screw Attacks against some bosses. All right, Experiment opening up with a vomit attack for Root. Very, very good. You like to see it. Unfortunately, not able to knock out enough health before the claw attack starts. But only got 1 set of claws. Pretty good. Gonna knock out all those claws there. Alrighty. Root doing a bit of spinning. Hopefully, well, I could probably make it an unrestricted reference about tornadoes, but there's one more thing you have to do in order to be able to do tornadoes, which neither runner has done. So I digress. Very good Experiment, I think, from both runners. So Sat's coming up on Golzuna, the crossbomb boss. Gonna be trying to time some speed boosts here into the boss as it respawns. 1, 2, and then I'm assuming 3. Yeah. So 3 properly timed speed boosts. You can pretty much trivialize this boss fight. Pick up cross bombs. Cross bombs are somewhat controversial power-ups in the community. They seem to really only work when you ask nicely. Like you can see there, like Sat dropped a bomb coming into that room, and I think the first one, I'm pretty sure, wasn't a cross bomb. So basically, the way the game attempts to check for cross bombs is by setting up these gaps that are spanned with crumble blocks underneath. So you need to use a cross bomb to launch yourself across in morph ball mode, or at least that's sort of the intended approach. So Sat's going to opt to take some, taking the intended path through this room here. You can open that grapple block from the other side, but that requires doing a glitch known as the double turnaround pseudo, which, of course, we're doing any percent glitchless here. Glitches are banned. All right, let's see how Root handles the double Berenia bots. Looks like she's just mashing plasma for the most part. A viable option, of course. You know, to mash plasma, you might mash screw attack a couple times on one of them at a time, depending on if you have a favorable, you know, positioning of the two. You might do some weaving. Again, several different options here. So coming up after cross bombs here is storm missiles. And SQ, the next boss, going to be doing. I think we caught a brief glimpse of the purple Emmy's cone in that last Emmy zone there. So the purple Emmy is the wave beam Emmy, and so its special power is that its cone can see through walls, and its particles can pass through walls too. Its projectiles. So you can already see, like, I keep mentioning how, like, there's, like, very different approaches that you can take to doing these things. So Root sort of did the Crazy 8 strat for Golzuna there, whereas Sat kind of waited for the X-Parasite to blink 5 times before attempting to speed boost into it. Just, again, a lot of different ways you can do these things. Again, I look away for 5 seconds and SQ is already dead. Yeah, so storm missiles. They're just like the seeker missiles from Prime 2. You hold the missile button and a bunch of reticles can show up on storm missile targets or enemies on the walls. And then you can fire up to like 5 at a time, I think. Just like storm missile, or just like seekers in Prime 2. Very good double robot Chozo fight. Gonna be storing a speed boost or not? Hold on, wait. So Sat's gonna be attempting to leave this room before the door shuts up. the back door there closes on him. That's a one-way door. Very well done. Yeah, if that's the fastest way out. Don't want to do the space jump tutorial going through the water there. All right, Root is making it to Ferenia to grab the couple power-ups, Storm Missile, Space Jump, Wave Beam. Sat going to be taking on the Purple Emmy. So the final Central Unit encounter, going to Speed Boost to knock off the Armored Plating off the brain, and then Screw Attack into it once the Armored Plating is off to like instantly defeat it. Let's see how Sat decides to take on the Purple Emmy. Although I'm pretty sure I know how he does it. So Purple Emmy is going to be coming in through this tunnel. Going to be spamming the Omega Cannon. Have to be very precise with these shots. Every shot counts when it comes to taking the faceplate off this thing. Very well done. Alrighty. So with that, Sat's got one more power up to go and a couple bosses before the end of coming up on the end of the game. Pretty soon. Yeah, a lot of the high level strats for Emmys are very scary looking. You have to be very confident in your ability to take off the faceplate and take it out. All right, so Root's going to be storing a speed boost going into SQ here, and then just screw attacking into a couple times. And there's storm missiles. Very good SQ, I'd say. All right, so we've got the orange Emmy. Not actually going to encounter the orange Emmy though. We're going to take on this red Chozo warrior instead. So fun fact is you can actually enter this room with storm missiles charged and get a few reticles in, a few storm missile reticles in on the boss before it puts up its shield, do a little extra damage. I actually haven't really been keeping track of the gap between these two runners. Like wave is like 2 minutes. Like I want to say maybe 5-ish minutes. Like wave beam being somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 minutes. There's still there's still a handful of the run left. You know, we've got Ravenbeak. Ravenbeak can change things a little bit, although it does seem like Sat would have to lose a lot of time on Ravenbeak. They pretty much used the same route. Glitchless early ice and no glitchless early space. Same route. So power bombs are the final power up from both our runners, or for both the runners. again, Metroid staple. You drop a massive bomb, big blast radius, lets you blow up nearly any block in the game. Almost any block in the game. Alrighty. Gold Chozo Elite going to be charging up a couple rounds of Storm Missiles to get this guy's shield away from him. Root's going for the same setup on the purple Emmy from the looks of it. Very well done. Alrighty, so Sat is making it up to the final boss, Ravenbeak. Dear old dad. So Ravenbeak, as you'll see, is a 3-phase boss fight. A lot of things I can talk about for Ravenbeak. A lot of random choices for attacks that we're going to be looking for. Alrighty, so Phase 1 of Ravenbeak. If you ever watched the cutscenes at the beginning of the game, he's going to put up his force field, which he cannot take damage in this form. He's going to throw his force field away here, and that's going to give Samus the opportunity to just start wailing on him. So with 2 Storm Locks, can easily clean through Phase 1. So Phase 2, Ravenbeak's going to start flying around. Going to be try to keeping him on the left side of the screen, so he doesn't go walking around a lot. So you can see Sat's doing some missile weaving here. He immediately opened up with a counter on Phase 3 from the looks of it. That's really good. This is the one counter that you do want to go for in a boss fight. Gonna finish up by throwing the sun. Sat doesn't really care about the sun. Gonna keep spamming shots on him. And there you go. 2 more parries, and that's it for Ravenbeak. That fight really favored him. I think that was very good Ravenbeak. Dad cooperated a little bit, So we're going to be finishing up with the escape. We've got this unholy monstrosity of Kraid, Ravenbeak, and 1 massive X-Parasite combining to form the ultimate life form. Going to be shooting a massive beam into his face. And RBX is no more. So, like most Metroid games, we've got the escape sequence. We got to get off this planet in 3 minutes, or else we have to do this again. Going to be looking for a particular speed boost tech in this area here. Nice morph into the tunnel. Doesn't look like we're going to be seeing Arc Spark on the right today. Oh, I have to... I had to get ready to mark the runner as done. Hello? Okay, there we go. All right, 1:15:04, pretty good. Probably one of the best times we've seen this tournament, if not the best one. That was really good. I mean, so Root's gonna be making her way up to Itarash to take on Ravenbeak. I don't know if the runners are up for post-run interviews, but we'll see. I'll keep an eye out. Is that a PB? Nice. PB during a race. You like to see it. Alrighty. Let's see. Restream. There we go. Skipped phase 1. Probably the least interesting phase of Ravenbeak. Just kind of having him throw off the force field. Opening up with some different attacks here. He's got the big laser. Going to be doing this slam into the wall attack. Looks like Root mostly damage boosting through a lot of these attacks. 3 energy tanks, kind of coming in handy here. The double laser though, going to be kind of scary. This is really okay. There we go. Alrighty, I'm going to be doing some damage boost here through the big laser. Unfortunately, didn't get a lot of health off that phase 2. Gonna have to blow up the sun for some pickups there. Gonna be occasionally dropping some cross bombs. There's the counter. Unfortunately, that was a little too late. The Root's already done so much damage to Ravenbeak that at this point, going through the counter cutscene would be kind of slow. But still a very, very respectable Ravenbeak. Very, very well done. Very, very good. Alrighty. So it looks like, if my math is correct, we could be seeing a sub 120 on the left. Should be pretty good. All right, so Sat has declined the offer for an interview. Understandable. You played very well today. Really looking forward to seeing. So let me see. So I'm taking a look at. Well, we can take a look at the bracket, I guess, after Root finishes. See, does Root go for Arc Spark? Can we get to see one of those today? Perhaps we'll see. Nah, looks like neither runners are interested in that sort of thing. That's fine. Oh, lost the speed boost there, unfortunately. Ooh, that was a really good, nice speed boost usage there. Alrighty, 119.39. That's pretty good. I forgot to mark Root as done. Sorry. Alrighty. So I'll keep an eye out if Root is interested in doing a post-run interview. Very, very well done. Very, very good run, I'd say. Considering I think Root's qualifier average was like a 125, 124. That's very, very good, given her placement in the bracket. With that, so Sat's going to be continuing on to round 3 of the upper bracket. He'll be taking on the winner of Ed Nolium versus Manager, which is going to be happening later this week. So keep an eye out for that. I don't know if there's a scheduled command, but we have a schedule. Most of our round 2 upper bracket matches are happening this week. Root is going to enter the lower bracket. See if I can't read this properly. And it looks like her opponent is going to be Mr. Greggy Spikes. So with that, I'll hang in there a couple more minutes for excuse me, post-run interview. We'll see. Let's see. In the meantime, what else do we have coming up this week? Tomorrow at 1:30 Eastern Time, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we've got Arcandy versus Metrol. Metrol's kind of been popping off in any percent glitchless. If you following his progress in the Discord, Arcandy, of course, very, very high level runner. Really looking forward to see what these two bring to the table. Wednesday at 8 p.m., we're going to be taking a brief detour over to lower bracket, and we're going to be checking out Spear Time versus Wordsayer. Both runners, I think they are pretty even. I think it's should be pretty exciting to see. And as I mentioned, Thursday 9 p.m. Eastern is Manny and Ed are going to be duking it out in a head-to-head match to see who gets to take on Sat in upper bracket round 3. A lot of really good matches this week. Do keep an eye out. Speedgaming.org. I don't know if there's a command for that, if somebody wants to put that in there. So yeah, plenty of matches afterwards though. Like we're like halfway through this bracket from the looks of it. So do keep an eye out. Do check out the runners on their own time. Probably will be practicing or doing other categories. Let me see. Okay. So looks like we're not doing any interviews today. Pretty late, totally understandable. But yeah, great job to both runners. Neither runner. This was an upper bracket match, so both runners are still in the tournament. So yeah, thank you all at home for watching, taking the time out of your day to listen to me run my mouth for an hour and a half, I guess. But yeah, I hope everybody has a good rest of their day.